Welcome back to the Blue Blood TV podcast, season 8, episode 10. I'm Hassan Pinto, and if you thought Seth Trimble's shot was the end of the story, you don't know Tobacco Road. In the last 7 days, the Great Divide is back with a vengeance. In Durham, number 3 Blue Devils didn't just bounce back. They went on the warpath. A gritty win at the peak against Jeff Capel and Pitt, followed by a statement blowout of Clemson. But over there in Chapel Hill, where Will is, the Trimble Afterglow turned into a total blackout. A road loss to Miami and a soul-crushing defeat at NC State. Will Phelan, you were storming the court last week. Now you're looking at a 2-game skid. What's going on, Will?
It's not a 2-game skid. You can't throw our win against Pitt out of there either. But it hasn't been pretty, man. There's no way around it. It's been ugly.
Okay, how are you feeling like a week later?
You know, I can take solace and comfort in the fact that we had our Austin Rivers moment last week. I mean, we still beat Duke, so I'm still fine with it. We just need these guys healthy.
Will, just for a bookmarking point, how old were you in 2012?
2012, I was. You're making me do math now. Got to carry the 2. I was 25.
All right, while you're thinking about that,
I was 25.
25. All right. Daryl Brunson. I see that smug and that smirk on your face. The 5-star force is back in the driver's seat. Let's get into the carnage. Are you ready, Daryl?
I mean, I'm ready, Hassan. Listen, Will's doing math now. Now that the audience is doing math, trying to figure out how old Will is. But I think that there have been some tremors since that earthquake on Franklin after the Seth Trimble shot.
All right.
Daryl, how old were you in 2012?
Quick math, 22.
There you go.
1990 makes it easy, brother.
All right,
yes,
all right, folks. Well, we're gonna get into it in this first segment. Ready, set, let's go. The Blue Blood TV podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, guys, these shows grow when you share them. So we have a great show here. Share them with all your friends. Make them aware of the Blue Blood TV podcast. Welcome back. Daryl, what's up? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Haas. I'm doing much better this week than I was last week, for sure.
Okay. And you survived the trap game against Pitt. Handled Clemson with ease. Defenses holding teams under 70 points. You're dominating the middle of the ACC. When I say that, that's like in the standings, Daryl. You're dominating everybody in the middle of the pack. But are you worried that this team might be peaking too early after that Carolina loss? And everybody else, like Michigan, everybody else in the top 5 is still grinding through their conferences. Does that bother you, Daryl?
It doesn't bother me, Hassan. I think if anything, we needed some middle of the pack victories right after facing Carolina and taking a heartbreaking defeat. I think playing against Pittsburgh made a big difference because obviously you're playing Jeff Capel in a way is like a rival, right? So it's a rivalry if nothing else within the coaches, because that's a man who could have been eligible for the Coach K to the successor Coach K, right? So I know there's a chip on his shoulder, and I'm sure there's a chip on Scheyer's shoulder when he sees him, because he has to prove his worth every time he sees Capel. I think, though, that this is good. They needed these first couple wins after the Carolina game to be able to get ready for the long road they have ahead of them to finish not just the ACC season, but with Michigan coming up next, number 1 Michigan at that. Long road ahead of them to finish the season.
All right. Well, Daryl, I've been watching the games. Duke has looked extraordinary since the Carolina game and until like the last minute of the Carolina game. I mean, they led that game, the entire game. But what we're noticing is there's been a lot of turnovers. They're creeping up. Are the freshmen on this team getting bored? Is Jon Scheyer losing control? You shot under 40% at Pitt. If you meet a physical team in the Sweet 16, do you have a plan B, or Or are you just praying that Isaiah Evans hits his contested 3-point shots?
I think plan B actually is plan D, and that's defense, right? We've talked about this Duke defense all year. And while this offense at times can be stagnant, we talked about how in the last couple seasons they played through one guy. Last year was Cooper Flagg. This year is Cameron Boozer. While the offense can look stagnant at times and this offense can be bad, they've gone 10 to 12 minutes in game time without making a field goal in a couple games. I also have the utmost confidence in the defense because they have not shown to have broken on that side of the ball just yet. And so I think until somebody proves me wrong, this team can fall back on that plan D rather than plan B.
And that's defense, Daryl.
Yes. Yeah, the defensive side of the ball.
We'll feel in.
Yes, sir.
Feel in. How you feeling?
We've been better. We've definitely been better.
Okay, so Will, you called the win against Duke an exorcism, but you lost to Miami, and then you went 30 miles down the road and took a loss to NC State. And this defense that kind of showed up against the Blue Devils, they weren't there against Miami, and they weren't there against State. Now, so the question is, Will, with Caleb Wilson not playing and Vassar not playing, is this team just too soft to do anything?
This team is too streaky.
No. That's not. I didn't say streaky.
Yeah. No,
I said soft. Will
Haas. They're not soft. What they are is if you look at the way we came out against Pitt, sandwiched in between those two L's, right? So if we look, I mean, we know now in the Miami game that Caleb Wilson was hurt and shouldn't have been playing, and Vassar got hurt as well and shouldn't have been playing. They both didn't play against Pitt, and we came out and had 5 guys in double figures. So they're not soft; they're just too damn streaky shooting wise to be able to compete with good teams or hungry teams. State's got a decent roster, and I would have loved to have seen us at full strength. You and I preach size as well, and I think that with James Brown, Matt Lakovich coming off the bench, that's a 7-footer and a 6'10" guy. Plus you've got Caleb Wilson hurt, who is all of 6'10". And you've got our 7-footer in Vassar. We're relying heavily on Zayden High, who has never been able to show that he can get it done. And that's a recipe for disaster. I don't think it's too soft. I don't think we're too soft. We're too streaky is the problem. We don't have consistent enough scores. You can't win. You're never going to win a basketball game if you go 6 of 35 from beyond the arc in a single game, like we did against State.
Ivan Matkovic. Where was he during the State game? You know how many minutes he got? 0. What happened?
He's hurt.
All right. Well,
he's been hurt. He's been hurt for a while. I'm pretty sure they're going to redshirt him. And then James Brown's, they won't say what is wrong with him. And then the Vassar injury is weird as well, man. The last 2 games he's been a game time decision and not played.
Okay, so are you just saying you cannot win without Vassar and Caleb Wilson? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we went from being big, like you and I talked about in previous episodes of the pod, to now having limited size options at best.
How tall is Jared Stevenson? I think about
6'10", right? 6'10", right?
Yep.
He's listed at 6'10", so maybe 6'9". And then you've got Zayden High, who is not good enough to get it done, man. If you watch that State game, Daryl, back me up on this one. Did you see the sequence in the first half where we had 3 offensive rebounds, and on the 4th one they kicked it out and lobbed a 3 up and hit the side of the damn backboard? Like,
yeah,
I turned the game. I walked away from my damn TV at that point. Like, it's not like you're not going to win a game if you're shooting if you can't buy a bucket.
Okay, here's what I saw, Will. I saw a team that lost to the Party Crashers. You know who the Party Crashers are, Will?
Yeah, State.
They just crashed freaking
It's everybody's little brother.
Yeah. So the Party Crashers They just want to be part of the conversation every once in a while, right? I saw a team that got out hustled in the paint. I saw a team that lost its toughness. I saw a team that was out coached. I saw a team that was down Vassar, down Caleb Wilson, but I didn't see any fight in the team. That's what the problem was, Will.
I think the three of us have all played sports in our lives, and I think that we can sit here. I heard some people on social media and saw some people on Instagram and Facebook and whatever else bash Hubert. I'm so sick of the Hubert bashing. I really am. I think there gets to a point where if you're 6 of 35 and you're shooting less than 30% in a game, you're not going like. It doesn't matter what the coach does at that point. If every player, the game's 90% mental, and if every player is living in their own head and can't and just feels as if they can't buy a bucket, it doesn't matter what the coach does. You can take every single time out you want. You can try to scheme and adjust and whatever you want to do. It's not going to work if the players aren't executing the game plan accordingly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Daryl.
listen, Haas, real quick before we move on to Duke, man. Listen, I think what I've noticed is, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I've noticed, one, that there's nobody out there. Seth Trimble's been in Carolina now for 4 years, right? He's a senior, but he doesn't look like it when he's out on the court right now without the two best players that they have. And you would hope out of your senior leadership that you can, especially at a school like at UNC Chapel Hill, that you could have somebody step up, even if they were the third option, and play like a first for just a couple games, especially when it comes to a rivalry game like NC State. And I know that I know the disparity between Carolina and State and how you guys beat up on them every year, but it's still a rivalry. It's still a town that's not too far away from you. And Copeland came in there and he was talking smack before the game. You would think that would fire somebody up to make them perform a little bit more than expectation. But it looks like Carolina's just a team of a bunch of unknowns out there right now, which is surprising from a team the caliber of UNC.
Well, so Daryl, my opinion is when you have Luka Bogovic, you've got Derek Dixon, you got Jaron Stevenson, and Zayden High. The guy that you're going to try to stop is Seth Trimble, right? So when Seth Trimble is not the third option, but he's the first option, he gets 4 points, right? 27 minutes, 4 points against NC State. I think the issue is that Seth Trimble is a little bit undersized for a two guard at 6'2", 6'3". Incredible athlete, but he can't find his shot unless their best defenders are focused on other players. And that's what I saw.
For sure.
Will, what did you see?
I agree with you. I think so watching that game, I noticed a couple of things. I noticed Seth went up for a poster in the first half and missed it. And State went right back. I think that would have tied the game. And I'm not saying things would have been different, but if you're Seth Trimble and you go up over Vin Allen Lubin for a poster and throw that down, and the momentum swings in a huge way. Instead, he misses it. State breaks out real quick and goes back and puts it down on the opposite end of the floor. The thing that I think is the most under talked about our bigs is how much better they make everybody else on the floor. You've got that you talk about, Daryl, that senior leadership, that veteran leadership. Caleb Wilson is the leader of that team in every way, shape, and form. And without his, I mean, he's called timeouts just to get people hyped up and change the tone and momentum of a game. We've all watched it this season, and I think not having him and not having Vassar, Vassar's 7 foot and has a gigantic damn wingspan and can change the tone of the inside of a game, and not having those guys allows we've watched it for 4 years at this point. Seth can't be the number one option.
He can't be the
He
number
can't.
one. He can't be the
But
number one option.
he
And
can be the second or third option. And if you've got Caleb and Henry on the court and one of those guys has an off night, at least, I mean, we saw in the first half of the Duke game, Seth had 9 or 10 points in the first half of that Duke game, and Vassar had none. But Vassar gets the ball, draws a double or 2 or 3 bodies, and then kicks it out to Seth, who can knock down a shot. So we've seen the way that both of those guys can change a game and make everybody on the floor better. And it's just that state game was so damn frustrating just because he didn't step up, take leadership, do what he needed to do.
yeah. Okay, Zara, we're gonna go back to you. Rumor has it Vassar and Caleb Wilson will be back for March 7th. Okay. And Seth Trimble is going to be back to the third option, which he's very, very good at. And before you celebrate UNC's downfall, Daryl, I want to know, if you lose again on March 7th, does this season of dominance feel like a failure? And will you could take it after that? And does this season of up and down seem like a victory? Take it down.
Yeah. I mean, 100% to the point of March 7th. On March 8th, if Duke has lost to a Carolina team who probably is now returning Caleb Wilson right before that game, and a Vassar who has been sick here lately, I think if Duke loses that game on March 8th, it will feel like a failure. What I will also say is that if they can go into the tournament, win the ACC tournament, it still probably does not feel like success at that point. If they win the national championship, then all else is washed. But I want to be very clear that they, at the absolute minimum, will have to win the Natty if they lose to Carolina both games. It would be beautiful if they could beat Carolina in the ACC tournament, but I still think that they would have to win a national championship to have this season be considered a success if they lose both of the games during the regular season to the Carolina Tar Heels.
Well,
yeah, I mean, of course, the Natty changes everything, right? Like, nobody's talking about losing twice or beating Duke twice if you win a national championship. I do think this season, Haas, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but this season kind of has shades of 22 to me, in my opinion. Like, going into the tail end of conference play and going into that Coach K send-off game and everything like that, Duke was hot. Duke had this world all-world roster, yada, yada, yada. We were talking about shades of a Duke national championship, and we went in there and beat them. And it sparked a run in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, obviously, with beating them again in the Final Four. And I'm not saying that will happen again, but we're kind of stumbling right now. We need our guys healthy. And if we can get healthy and get everything going and beat them, we build a lot of momentum going into both tournaments. A lot of momentum.
Well, what I will say is that 2022 event going into the Coach K, I call it the funeral, right? Like 110 former basketball players attending his retirement party, and to lose that game. And then the Duke fans they couldn't believe that we beat them on their own surface at Cameron. Because
few things in this world were as salty as a Duke fan after that game.
And then to go to the Final Four and play Carolina and lose again. I mean, it's hard being a Carolina fan, but it's hard being a Duke fan too in this rivalry because, the Duke, recently the Duke fans, I mean, they have the 5 stars. They have the big basketball players. And on paper, they should win. But it just doesn't work that way in this rivalry. Will, let me ask a question. If UNC loses more games in the ACC before the tournament, what do you think their seed's going to be in the NCAA tournament?
I think last I saw, we're bracketology with Joe Lenardi, ESPN or whatever. He's got us as like a 6 seed, I think. I think
I think that's what I saw too.
I think we could fall. I mean, if we keep losing 9 or 10.
So, Will, on your schedule,
what do you think?
Yeah, I think you have to. Lenardi's the committee has to take into account that Caleb Wilson and Vassar have been out for these couple games. We've seen Carolina at their peak, obviously beating Duke last week. We've seen what Carolina is when they're healthy. So I think you have to consider that. Probably 8 or 9 if they lose some more games.
They've shown that they will take into consideration injuries and performance with and without rosters and stuff like that as well. So,
well, here's what I see. UNC Syracuse at the Dean Dome.
That's a win. Yeah.
But the last 4 games are on the road, Will. You got Louisville at Louisville. Tough game.
That's a tough
game. You gotta go to Virginia Tech. No big airport to get there. I don't know how they get up there, but
that Virginia Tech is one of those, it's always one of those BS little late season games. Virginia Tech's never very good, but always sneaks a win out somehow. It feels like a trap. That one's a coin flip.
That's a coin flip. And that Louisville game's on a Monday night, right? And then you got another trap game on a Tuesday night where you're gonna have to go down to Clemson. And then you gotta go to Duke.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I got it wrong. I'm sorry. You're going to Syracuse. The Louisville game is at home on a Monday night. Then the Virginia Tech game is at home. The Clemson game is at home. And the Duke game is away. So I have.
So you're good. I think that it depends large and in part when Vassar and Caleb come back. I think that they will. So the Caleb Wilson injury confuses me too, because they got him. He got an X-ray in Miami, came back negative. He came back and finished the game. Then when they get back to Chapel Hill, he gets another X-ray and they find a hairline fracture. Leads me to believe, and it's on his non-dominant hand. It's on his left hand. So it leads me to believe it's not as bad as Seth's injury earlier in the season, I guess. I think that we get Vassar back for the next game.
Prepare for Duke and North Carolina to face off like never before. Blue Blood Rivalry 5K! 5K! Sign up one, sign up all. Students, families, alumni, locals, non-locals, everyone! And you don't even need to be from UNC or Duke, because we have a Party Crasher division. Party Crasher! Come State, Wake, UVA, anyone, and join the fun. Crash their party. But the real battle is between the Blue Devils and the Tar Heels. Before it's settled on the court, it'll be settled on the race course. But there's more. There will be a special basketball dribble division where each participant will travel the race course dribbling a basketball. Dribbling a basketball? Hell yeah! That's cool! So sign up now! Attention all racers, prepare for the event of a lifetime. The race course will most certainly decide a champion school.
Duke Carolina fans, download Duke Carolina, the Blue Blood Rivalry film on iTunes or Apple TV or wherever you get your VOD downloads.
Hey, Queen. Queen, you know you my guy, right? I'm always pulling for you. Night, when you step on the court, I step on the court too. And we in it.
Doing 2 games that night. It's the North Carolina game at Duke and the Duke game that's at North Carolina.
When we wake up on game day, there's a knot in my stomach. We've been up since 6 a.m. this morning watching recorded Duke Carolina games.
I watched the Rivers shot
about 15 times.
Yeah. Rivers on his own. Yes, that's the buzzer!
We're here for the Duke game.
And it is 10 hours and 9 minutes till game time.
The Blue Devils win 85-84.
Nothing better than North Carolina and Duke. It is the best rivalry in all of college basketball. Hall of Fame coaches, great players, and usually so much at stake.
And that's it. Carolina's won it.
The fans have as much to do with the rivalry being great as the players and the coaches.
It's 5 hours before game time.
Well, there's no question that the rivalry is there every day in our community.
Can you imagine what it would be like around here if people didn't have it? It would be terrifying.
We are 30 minutes away from tip-off.
It's one of the most exciting events you can be a part of, and I still say it's not the biggest rivalry in college basketball. It's the biggest rivalry in all of sport, bar none.
It's game time!
What up? What up, Darryl?
Hey, listen, Haas, I don't know if you can tell, but I feel a whole lot better than I did last week. And I just want to make it very clear that while we can't erase the massacre, the stumble that we faced on Franklin, I feel really good going into March 7th right now. I just want to make that very clear.
All right, well, let's talk about Big Ten and let's talk about SEC. And do you think a team like Michigan, who you're playing, Elliot Cadeau, and we talked about Elliot Cadeau last year. We just said in the setup that he had where he didn't have the proper size centers, the power forwards, where Elliot Cadeau had to play make, the setup at Carolina was not good for him. But
I think the setup this year could have been perfect for him.
Could have been perfect
when he was here, not at all.
Not at all. But he's in a setup that is good for him.
Yeah.
And the last I checked, where are they ranked, Darryl? Tell me.
Numero uno.
Numero uno. So Michigan is grinding through their conference. Do you think in a physical conference, do you think Duke is going to have a problem with the physicality and playing this Michigan team?
I don't actually, Hassan. I think this Duke team is actually pretty physical. If you look at their bigs, if you look at Cameron Boozer, we talk about him. He might be 6'8", 6'9", realistically, but he's very stout, very, very stocky.
Very big.
Yeah. He's definitely got a body like his dad on him. If you look at Gongba, big 7-footer. You even look at Malik Brown, very long, very handsy, very physical. I think that this team is a lot more physical than they get credit for. Dame Sarr, 6'7", who plays the 2 guard a lot of times. Isaiah Evans, lanky. I think that I just think they have enough physicality, enough size to be able to compete with a more physical team from a physical conference like Michigan. Michigan's biggest asset is that they're well-rounded. So they have 5 scorers in double digits on the season, averaging that. Cadeau's averaging about 5.5 assists this year, but he's also turning the ball over at like 2.5 turnovers a game this year. And so I think that Duke has been really good at turning other teams over. And with Cadeau coming in at about 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, I think Duke could probably take advantage of that, knowing his niche and knowing his mannerisms, knowing Elliot Cadeau from Carolina. I think that they could take advantage of familiarity in this matchup.
Cadeau in this setup, the last game against Purdue, he got 17 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists in 35 minutes. That means
quiet too. I watched that entire game. I looked at his stat line at the end of that game, and I was like, "Ooh, okay,
yeah."
Right.
Cadeau in the right setup is pretty good. But Darryl, let me ask you another question. If Cameron Boozer's got some real big men that he's got to go through, we saw what happened at the Carolina game. He got into foul trouble. Who's the alpha on the court if he gets in foul trouble early this weekend?
The alpha on the court is going to have to be Isaiah Evans, right? I think that
is he reliable?
I think the good thing,
we keep saying that, man.
We do keep saying that, Will. But to his credit, I think he might have found a little something recently. I don't know if Scheyer's been in his ear, if he's given him more freedom, or if he just finally feels comfortable. But Isaiah Evans, he dropped 21 points against Pitt. He was 80% from the field. I do think he's inconsistent, and we have this conversation all the time. I think that they will have to rely on Gongba. Again, really big, the big man who can actually score when he needs to. He tries to shoot the three a little too much, and we've seen him do less of that. But I think that he can insert that low post game and that low post presence when if Duke gets in foul trouble with Cameron Boozer, to be able to have a secondary option down low. But Isaiah Evans is going to have to play well. He's going to have to do that for them to win the Natty. And this right here is going to be a good litmus test for him, since he didn't play well in that. He didn't play extremely well in that Carolina game. He actually disappeared in that Carolina game. And I think this is his chance to redeem himself before we get to a game like March 7th and then the tournament following that.
Okay.
I think this is an interesting matchup. I really do. I'm excited to watch this game on Saturday.
All right, Will, let's talk about your game on Saturday. Defense, Will. Defense.
Yep.
Defense wins games, right? Can we agree on that, Will? Yes or no?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Who is Carolina's MVP of the defense right now, or wait?
Seth. I mean, Seth is our best defensive player.
Okay, so
in the
why
roster
are you giving up
that
so many
we
points, Will?
In the roster that we will, because we don't have true big men who Zayden High is a liability, and Bogavas is a liability defensively. He can score, but he's a liability defensively. So when missing Caleb hurts, obviously, for his points and rebounds, but his defensive intensity is impressive. I mean, he's a well-rounded basketball player who is incredibly athletic. He is the first to dive after any loose ball and anything like that. And I think when you take that away, take that defensive intensity away, and you have to rely on a guy Luka, it leaves you open and vulnerable to allow a lot of points.
All right, guys. I want to kind of shift a little bit. I want to go into Saturday's matchup. I want to start looking forward. Daryl, you've got number 1 Michigan Saturday, 6:30 p.m. in Washington, D.C. And Will, you've got Syracuse at 4 p.m. Saturday. So, Will, what you can do is you can sit there and watch the Carolina game and then turn over and watch the Duke game. And Daryl, you can sit there and watch the Carolina game and then go to the Duke game. But this Duke game is a national statement game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's on a neutral court. I'll tell you why it's on a neutral court. Because Michigan has fans in Washington, D.C. and around Washington, D.C.
So this is a true neutral site then.
This is a neutral site. Okay.
True neutral site.
This isn't
Madison Square Garden.
I love it.
And then you're coming in at number 3, and they're coming in at number 1. And for me, this is a playing game for the number 1 seed. Like, this is where the committees are going to decide our life, right? But Michigan is elite, Daryl, defensively with Ade Mara in the paint. Okay. Do you think the 5-star force is going to get shut down by Big Ten size? That was good, wasn't it, Daryl?
That was beautiful.
That was good, Hassan. I think that you're asking. I do believe also that's probably a rhetorical question for me, because my answer is going to be I do think Duke and the 5-star force have what it takes to give this frail Michigan team fits. I believe that the Carolina loss, right, is a tough loss, but you're playing in the Dean Dome, heartbreaker, close game. This Duke team has seen their 2 losses this season, both by a couple points, right? Both down to the last minute, down to the wire. And I think this Michigan game will be very similar, but it's just another opportunity, man. I think this Duke team is a really, really good team. I don't think they're as talented as last year. We talk a lot about last year. Cooper Flagg's not coming back to play for this game. Con Knipple, they're not coming back, man. They're gonna continue to soar and continue to do their thing in the league. But I think they have Cameron Boozer, the most consistent and the best player in college basketball. And I think that's what's going to be the difference in this game.
Okay, let's talk about Mara. Hold on. Let's just talk about the Mara Boozer matchup. Okay. Michigan plays a drop coverage with Mara that invites you to shoot mid-range jump shots, right? Will Jon Scheyer pull Cameron Boozer away from the rim to get Mara off the rim? And are you worried that Duke's offense will get stagnant trying to challenge? Listen to this, Daryl. The tallest front court in the country That's what you got. Last year you had the biggest team in the country. This year, Michigan has the tallest front court in the country.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that 100%. Mara right now is averaging about 3 rebounds almost. I'm sorry, excuse me, 3 blocks, about 3 blocks a game. Big, tall, lanky, like we've talked about. Size is benefiting this Michigan team. But I think that skill is going to benefit Cameron Boozer in this matchup. And Cameron Boozer is on that low block, is one of a kind in college basketball. And he reminds me a lot of Jahlil Okafor as far as how he works on that block, how he works with his footwork. And I think that skill, that talent, that knowledge that he has, his dad being a former NBA player, will help him benefit in this game. But also, we talked about against Carolina, Cameron Boozer's matchup was huge for NBA scouts to be able to see what he looks like against other NBA bodies. And I think right now in this matchup, we could say the same thing because this is, again, a very big team in Michigan. It's going to give some NBA scouts an idea what Cameron Boozer looks like when he's mismatched in size, because most of the ACC opponents he dominates. But can you dominate when the size and the stature are about the same, if not bigger than what you are?
So, Will, I want you to jump in on that. What do you think happened when he went up against Vassar and Caleb Wilson? I thought he had some trouble.
I thought he had trouble. So he's one of those guys that's going to get his points regardless of what happens, right? But he had trouble in the first half, especially with Carolina's defensive scheme, to where Caleb was on him, and then he'd get the ball down in the low post, and Vassar would slide over and they'd double him. So it's one of those where I think I was kind of waiting for it. Actually, is I think Carolina. I mean, obviously they had their struggles in the Duke game, but I think they showed you the blueprint on how to keep the rest of the guys on Duke at bay. And I think that Michigan has the size to get Ngangba and Malik Brown in foul trouble, which are what you need to do, because where Duke hurts you is when all of those guys are on the floor and they can space and stretch the floor and match size for size. And Duke's guard play, Daryl, we've been talking about it all season, but Duke's guard play just is too inconsistent from a scoring standpoint. If Michigan has their 5 guys all score double figures, I'm not sure that Duke's going to be able to keep up with that pace.
Okay. Well, let's go to Saturday against Syracuse. I'm going to call this a trap game. I'm going to call it a trap game audit. Let's do that audit right now.
Okay.
Will, you lost to State. You lost to Miami.
Yep.
Now you got Syracuse coming in, right?
Yep.
And it's a team that took you to the wire early in the month, correct?
Yep. They've got that one kid. I forget his name. I'm blanking right now.
Cayenne Anthony, Donnie Freeman.
Donnie Freeman. That kid's a stud. He's really, really good. Anthony didn't play all that well against us. I mean, he had some moments, but that Donnie Freeman's the one I'm worried about.
All right, and you're gonna have also, if your sixth man will be Carmelo Anthony. I'm just assuming he's
I was gonna say, speaking of Cayenne Anthony, did you guys see? So Melo, obviously he's a dad, dude, right? You guys understand it. Like he makes this commentary on Instagram or social media about the coach. I think he said shaking my head, basically. Next game, Cayenne doesn't even get in the game. He sits the entire game. I don't know. Is that a reflection? Are we talking a reflection on Melo? Or are we talking a reflection on the coach of Syracuse?
Again, I think, this human nature, right? So human nature is like when you take on a player like a Cayenne Anthony with Carmelo Anthony as his father, I think a mature coach would allow Carmelo to say whatever he wants to say, right?
Yeah.
And still do what's right for the team. And if that's playing Cayenne Anthony, then that's what's best for the team, right?
Right.
This is, but an insecure coach looks at Carmelo's voice and says, well, this is undermining what I'm doing, right? So he makes a decision like that to get Cayenne off the field, right? To say, like, if you don't shut the heck up, then I'm not going to play your son, which I think is highly immature, right?
It's foolish. Yeah. It's foolish.
And it says more about the coach than Carmelo Anthony, right? Because a lot of parents say a lot of things online. The only difference is that Carmelo's voice is amplified, right? Because he's Carmelo Anthony. And that's part of, coaching like a LeVar Ball kid or a Carmelo Anthony kid or a LeBron James kid or anybody with amplification. And so I would say to the coach, get a backbone, get a spine, let him say what he wants to say, and don't penalize the kid.
Well, I think too that Syracuse's situation is different if they're good. Like they're not like with him or without him on the court. They're not that good this year.
Agreed. Now, which is also a reflection of the coach.
Now, for sure, and that's why their level of insecurity is there. He's upset about his terrible record, and then there's some insecurity there.
Now, if you're playing Cayenne Anthony and he's not in your top 5, but you're doing it because of the amplification it puts on your program, shame on you. Shame on you, right? So
100%.
It can't be both, right? It has to be one or the other. Cayenne Anthony is either good enough or Cayenne Anthony is not good enough.
So I can tell you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Well, I was going to say, if he wasn't top 5, he shouldn't be playing. That's one thing. But looking at that Syracuse roster, I can say that I can without a doubt say he's top 5. He's probably top 3 on that team. And so I think they're even bringing him off the bench. And so I think the coach really has some things that he's dealing with, probably voices in his ear and battle and internal struggles that he already has. And then Melo's status doesn't help because they already suck.
Do you, Haas, a question for you, man. You've got kids who play professional sports, who have been in sports their whole lives. You've coached, I'm sure. You've got your academy. Is the best solution to handle a kid like this, if your team is not getting it done on the court, to just run him, start him, and let him dig his own grave, or he pulls you up? One or the other. One of two things happens, right? You start the kid, give him his burn, and whatever happens at that point. Or is it to do exactly what this coach did?
So as a parent of soccer players, and for me being a big voice in soccer, I've seen it all. I've seen coaches who disrespected my kids, and because of me, right? Yeah. I've seen coaches do the right thing by my kids, right? I've seen all of it. And what I found is that the insecure coaches who are insecure with me on the sideline, because, I know this game, Carmelo knows the game, and we have opinions, right? So that situation with Cayenne Anthony, I get it totally. But what I will say is you can't be both. You're either good enough or you're not. And if you're not good enough and Carmelo's sitting on the sideline, he needs to redshirt, right? Or he's going to be in the 5th man role. And you just got to tell Carmelo, look, he's not my best guy, okay? If he's good enough, then you got to take the heat when maybe you don't coach really well enough, because Carmelo Anthony has an opinion. He's entitled to an opinion. He's entitled to voice what he thinks about the game, and you're not entitled to take it out on his kid.
For sure.
And
you know what you signed up. You know what you signed up for when you recruited.
100%. So then the issue becomes, and I don't know. I mean, we're kind of getting off the rails, going off the rails here with Syracuse's situation. Neither of us know, I'm assuming, Syracuse's coaching situation, status, whatever, well enough to make a call one way or the other. But does he ever transfer? If Syracuse buys into this coach who clearly can't contain anything or anyone, parents or otherwise, and
the
they
coach
buy
is gone,
into
dude.
him, you think?
Yeah, the coach.
I don't know enough about Syracuse to know.
I think that when you're talking about a legend, a Syracuse legend, in Carmelo Anthony. If the coach were coaching well, if he were showing some upside, if he had potential, if they were clicking and just kind of losing some games in, last minute, maybe close games, and there's clearly some potential and talent there, that would be one thing. But we've watched this team play both Carolina and Duke, and that team lacks talent. That team lacks direction. That team lacks leadership. And that all comes from the head coach. And so I feel like when you get into a battle with the program's biggest legend, and also you're not performing well, you're out.
Yeah. All right, Will, I want to talk about the Wilson factor. You ready to talk about it, Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Caleb Wilson missed the NC State game, and the results were disastrous. Yes or no, Will? Disaster.
Yeah, it was ugly to watch. Full transparency, it was ugly to watch. Full transparency,
disaster. Say disaster, Will.
It was. What's worse than a disaster?
Natural disaster.
Natural disaster.
It was a natural. It was a Cat 5, F3 tornado, Cat 5 hurricane disaster.
All right. So, Will, Hubert Davis kind of winked at the media that he'll probably be back this weekend.
Yep.
Is he the only thing, him and Brassard, the only thing that only things that are keeping this team from a total collapse? Or do you have anybody on that bench that can carry the load against a Syracuse team that's not that good?
Syracuse is not that good. And the Syracuse, I'm not saying that they have shades of Pitt, because Pitt is bottom of the ACC, not going to make the ACC tournament, probably bad. But Syracuse, this game reminds me more of the Pitt game than the NC State game. And those guys showed us that they could come out and score and get it done. I do think that if this team is going to reach its full potential, we need both of those guys back and healthy. There's no way around it. I mean, Caleb Wilson is a special player, and he changes the game on both sides of the floor, and his leadership, everything about the kid is special. And if this team's going to make any sort of run, whether it's in conference play, conference tournament, or NCAA tournament, we need both of those guys to be healthy.
All right, guys, that's the wrap for episode 10. The hierarchy at Duke has been restored, but the drama is far from over. Will, you know what I want you to do, Will?
What's that?
You know what I want you to do? Go find some defensive rotations.
Can I just give you one thing too? Is we shat on Hubert Davis for his coaching and his recruiting, and now that we've got a GM, we're pulling in 5 stars like Dylan Mingo. So let's freaking go.
Okay, Dylan Mingo. Yeah, Daryl.
Yeah. Okay. Can Dylan Mingo step in on March 7th, or can he play on Saturday? Dylan Mingo.
We don't need him. We don't need him if we got our boys healthy. We already beat you guys once. We'll beat you again.
Yeah, you probably could use him at least right now. Can he fill in? Right now?
I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome if he could reclassify and come in next week, but that's not going to happen.
Okay, and Daryl, what I want you to do is to keep that trophy polished for now until Saturday, because Saturday we're going to know a lot. We're going to know where you're weak and where you're strong. And
you guys are going to get dog walked.
And I think Boozer's going to get in foul trouble. So we're going to know that. So keep the trophy polished. Feel good. Saturday is going to be a number 1 seed playoff game on a neutral court. We're going to understand how good Duke is away from home. And as we get into March Madness, ACC tournament, we're going to learn a lot on Saturday, Daryl. And fans,
I just want to say before we wrap up, I just want to say that Cameron Boozer, just so you guys know, Cameron Boozer will be on my 22-leg parlay for $1 that can earn me $1.5 million. So I'll let you know whether or not it hits.
Okay. You're gonna hit 24 of 25 legs, and that's gonna be the 25th leg that you didn't hit.
If it is, I will not be on this show next week. If he's the one, I will not be here.
All right. And fans, don't forget, we're just 15 days away from Duke, Carolina, the March 7th matchup. It's just 15 days away. Okay. By the time this show gets posted, it'll be 15 days away. And we're only 15 days away from the Blue Blood Rivalry 5K on March 7th. I saw the list, and Will, Carolina fans are lagging. Do you think it had something to do with the last 7 days?
Possibly. I mean,
okay, well, look, we got to get those Carolina fans out. Okay. Duke and the Party Crashers are leading the pack in terms of registration. So we got to get the heels on the track, and we got to get the heels on track on the court so that your fans can win at Herndon Park on March 7th. So sign up at bluebloodrivalryrun.com. Let me repeat that. Sign up at bluebloodrivalryrun.com. Let's show these teams how to finish a race. Hit that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and let's get it to a 5.0. I'm Hassan Pinto. Duke is up. Carolina's down. March is coming for everyone. And Daryl, Will, as we always say, what do we say, baby?
We out.
We out.
We out. Blue Blood TV Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, guys, these shows grow when you share them. So we have a great show here. Share them with all your friends. Make them aware of the Blue Blood TV Podcast.